Justice served.
Have you ever been laughed at for your dreams? Told you're wasting your time? That you'll never make it? I have. My own family called me delusional. My so-called friends mocked me behind my back. My ex-boyfriend told me to get a real job and stop embarrassing myself. But 5 years later, I'm selling out stadiums. My face is on billboards in 3 countries. And every single person who laughed at me is now sliding into my DMs, pretending they believed in me all along. My name is Luna Park, and this is the story of how I went from being the joke of my hometown to becoming one of the biggest K-pop idols in the industry, and how I made sure everyone who doubted me knows exactly what they missed out on. This isn't just a success story, it's a vindication story. And trust me, it's so satisfying.
Let me take you back to where it all started. A small town in New Jersey, where I was the weird Korean-American girl who was obsessed with K-pop. I was 16 when I first discovered K-pop. My cousin sent me a music video, and I was instantly hooked. The choreography, the vocals, the production value, the artistry. It was unlike anything I'd seen in American pop music. I fell down the rabbit hole hard. Within months, I wasn't just a fan. I was training. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. to practice dancing before school. I'd spend hours learning Korean. I'd record myself singing covers and post them online. I joined a local dance crew that specialized in K-pop choreography. My parents thought it was a phase. "It's good to have hobbies," my mom would say, patting my head like I was a child. But this wasn't a hobby. This was my calling. When I was 17, I told my family I wanted to audition for K-pop entertainment companies. That's when the mockery started. "Luna, be realistic. You're not even fully Korean. Those companies want pure Korean girls." "It's a saturated industry," my older brother Jason added. "What makes you think you're special enough to stand out?" "You don't even speak Korean that well," my mom pointed out. "How are you going to compete with native speakers?" They meant well, I think. They were trying to protect me from disappointment, but their words cut deep. My friends at school weren't much better. When I mentioned wanting to be a K-pop idol, they laughed. "That's cute, Luna, but that's not a real career path. Maybe you should focus on college applications." My boyfriend at the time, Tyler, was the worst. He was this typical popular guy, captain of the basketball team, future business major, Mr. Conventional Success. "Babe, this K-pop thing is getting embarrassing. You're always dancing and singing and posting these videos online. People are starting to talk. Can you just tone it down?" "This is my dream," I said quietly. "Dreams don't pay bills," he replied. "You need to grow up and be practical." I should have dumped him right then. But I was 17 and insecure, so I stayed. The breaking point came at my high school senior talent show. I'd signed up to perform a K-pop cover, dance and vocals. I'd practiced for weeks, perfecting every move, every note. I poured my heart into that performance. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. Then applause. Genuine applause for most of the audience. But as I walked off stage, I heard it. Tyler and his friends laughing. "That was so cringe," one of them said. "I can't believe she actually thinks she's going to be famous," another added. Tyler saw me standing there and had the audacity to shrug. "What? It was a little much, babe." That night, I went home and cried. Not because they hurt me, though they did, but because I realized I was surrounded by people who would never support my dreams. So I made a decision. I was going to prove every single one of them wrong.
3 months after graduation, I bought a one-way ticket to Seoul. My parents were horrified. "You're throwing away your future," my dad said. "You got accepted to good colleges. Why would you give that up?" "Because this is what I want," I said firmly, "and I'm going to make it work." Jason laughed. "You'll be back in 6 months, broke and humiliated. Mark my words." Tyler had already dumped me by then, said he couldn't be with someone who didn't have her life together. Good riddance. I arrived in Seoul with $3,000 in savings, minimal Korean language skills, and a list of entertainment companies holding open auditions. I'd done my research obsessively. I knew which companies were reputable, which ones treated their trainees well, which ones were looking for diverse talent. The first 3 auditions were disasters. I was too nervous, messed up choreography, cracked on high notes. Each rejection felt like confirmation that everyone back home had been right. But I didn't give up. Audition 4 was for Starlight Entertainment, a mid-sized company known for producing successful co-ed groups and solo artists. The audition was brutal. 3 rounds of cuts, hundreds of hopefuls competing for maybe 10 trainee spots. I made it through the first round with my vocals, the second round with my dancing, and in the third round, when they asked me to freestyle, to show them who I really was as a performer, I let everything go. All the pain, all the doubt, all the fire that had been building since high school. 2 weeks later, I got the call. I was in. But being accepted as a trainee was just the beginning. The real nightmare was about to start. Trainee life was hell. I lived in a tiny dorm with 5 other girls, barely enough space to breathe. We trained 16 hours a day, vocal lessons, dance practice, language classes, media training, fitness training. I was constantly exhausted, constantly sore, constantly pushed beyond what I thought were my limits. The other trainees were incredibly talented. These were girls who'd been training since they were children, who had perfect Korean, who came from wealthy families that could support their dreams. I was the American girl who'd shown up with broken Korean and determination. Some of them were kind, others saw me as competition to eliminate. There was one trainee in particular, Hannah. She was 21, had been training for 4 years, and desperately wanted to debut. When she saw that the company was interested in me for their next project, she made my life miserable. She'd accidentally kick me during dance practice. She'd spread rumors that I was getting special treatment for being American. She'd critique my Korean pronunciation loudly in front of instructors. "You don't belong here," she told me once. "Go back to America where you can be mediocre and nobody cares." I wanted to quit so many times. There were nights I'd cry myself to sleep, wondering if everyone had been right, if I was just a delusional girl chasing an impossible dream. But then I'd remember Tyler's laugh, Brittany's condescending smile, Jason's prediction that I'd fail, my dad's disappointment. And I'd get up the next morning and train harder. Months turned into a year, then 2 years. I watched other trainees debut while I stayed in training. I watched some give up and go home. I improved steadily. My Korean became fluent, my dancing grew sharper, my vocals stronger. The instructors started to notice. "Luna has something special," I overheard one tell another. "She's got star quality. Raw, but real." In my 3rd year of training, Starlight Entertainment announced they were forming a new 4-member girl group. Auditions would be held among current trainees. This was it, my shot. The competition was fierce, 20 trainees competing for 4 spots. Hannah was one of them, and she was determined to make sure I didn't make the cut. She sabotaged my practice by hiding my choreography notes. She convinced other trainees to exclude me from group practice sessions. She even tried to get me in trouble by telling instructors I was breaking rules I hadn't broken. But I'd survived 3 years of this. I knew how to navigate her games. The final showcase was in front of the company's executives and producers. We each had to perform solo, then participate in group evaluations. Everything was being judged: talent, stage presence, teamwork, star potential. When it was my turn to perform, I chose a powerful ballad for vocals and a sharp hip-hop routine for dance. I'd choreographed it myself, pulling from everything I'd learned. As I performed, I didn't think about Hannah's sabotage or the competition or the pressure. I thought about that 17-year-old girl in New Jersey who'd been told she'd never make it. I performed for her, to prove she was right to keep believing. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. Even the stone-faced executives were nodding in approval. 2 weeks later, the final lineup was announced. I'd made it. I was going to debut. Hannah wasn't selected. When the names were announced, I saw her face crumble. Part of me felt bad for her, but mostly I felt vindicated.
Our group was called Eclipse. 4 members: me, main dancer and lead vocalist; Mina, leader and main vocalist; Yuna, main rapper; and Sujin, lead dancer and vocalist. We trained together for 6 more months before our official debut, building chemistry, perfecting our concept, recording our first mini-album. The company invested heavily in us: top producers, high-budget music videos, intensive promotional plans. Our debut song was called Shine Bright, an empowering anthem about finding your light despite the darkness. The choreography was intricate and powerful. The music video was cinematic. When we released it, I held my breath. The K-pop industry is brutal. Dozens of groups debut every year, and most disappear within months. Success was never guaranteed. But something clicked. Shine Bright went viral within the first week. The choreography became a trending challenge on social media. International fans discovered us and started streaming our music. Korean media started paying attention. Within a month, we'd won our first music show award. I stood on that stage, holding the trophy, crying my eyes out. 3 years of hell, and it was finally paying off. Our first mini-album sold 100,000 copies in the first month. We started getting brand deals, variety show appearances, magazine covers. Eclipse was becoming a recognized name in the industry. But I still hadn't told anyone back home. I'd barely kept in touch. Occasional texts to my parents to let them know I was alive, but nothing about my career. As far as they knew, I was still struggling in Korea, probably about to give up and come home. I wanted to wait until I'd really made it, until there was no room for doubt. That moment came 8 months after our debut. Eclipse was invited to perform at MAMA, the Mnet Asian Music Awards, one of the biggest K-pop award shows in the world. We were nominated for Best New Artist. And we won. Standing on that stage, giving our acceptance speech in front of thousands of people in the arena and millions watching worldwide, I felt like I'd finally arrived. The next day, articles about our win appeared in international media. Entertainment news sites, music publications, even mainstream news outlets covered it. Eclipse takes K-pop world by storm, one headline read. That's when people back home started noticing. My phone started blowing up. Messages from old friends, acquaintances, people I hadn't talked to in years. OMG, Luna! I just saw you won an award! So proud! Luna Park from our high school is a K-pop star? That's insane! Remember when we used to hang out? Miss you, girl! I didn't respond to any of them. Not yet. But the messages that really got to me came from the people who'd hurt me the most.
The first message was from Brittany, my old friend who'd called my dreams cute. Luna, oh my God, I can't believe I'm friends with a K-pop idol. I've been following Eclipse since your debut. Okay, maybe not since day one, but close. I always knew you'd make it. Remember when we used to talk about your dreams? I'm so happy I got to support you back then. We should catch up. I'm actually planning a trip to Korea next month. I stared at that message in disbelief. Support me? She'd laughed at me. And now she was planning a trip to Korea, clearly hoping for free concert tickets and a chance to meet me. I left her on read. Then came a DM on Instagram from Tyler, my ex-boyfriend, who told me to get a real job. Hey, Luna, been a while. Saw you're doing really well. That's awesome. I always knew you had potential. Look, I know things ended kind of rough between us, but that was high school, you know? We were kids. Would be cool to reconnect. I'm actually single now and thinking about taking a trip to Seoul for work. Maybe we could grab coffee. The audacity. He dumped me for chasing my dreams, told me I was embarrassing, and now he wanted to reconnect because I was successful? I blocked him immediately. My brother Jason sent a text. Hey sis, saw your group on the news. Pretty cool. Mom and dad are telling everyone their daughter is a K-pop star, LOL. Anyway, my marketing startup could use some celebrity endorsement. Since your family, maybe you could give us a shout out on your social media? Would really help us out. Not an apology for calling me delusional. Not acknowledgement that he'd been wrong. Just asking for a favor now that I was useful to him. I didn't respond. But the worst one came from Hannah, the trainee who'd sabotaged me. She sent me a long email through my company address. In it, she apologized profusely for how she'd treated me, said she'd been under so much pressure and acting out of insecurity. She explained that she'd left Starlight Entertainment and was now struggling to find another company to take her on. Then came the real ask. Could I put in a good word for her with Starlight? Could I help her get another chance? The woman who tried to destroy my dreams wanted me to save hers. I sat with that email for a long time. Part of me wanted to help, to be the bigger person, to show mercy. But another part of me remembered every cruel thing she'd said, every time she'd sabotaged my practice, every moment she'd tried to break me. I forwarded the email to our company's HR department with a note. FYI, this former trainee is reaching out. Based on my experience working with her, I would not recommend re-signing her. She creates hostile training environments. Professional, factual, and absolutely lethal to her chances. Over the next few months, Eclipse's popularity exploded. We released a full album that went platinum. We sold out our first Asian tour. We started getting international attention, performing on American talk shows, getting interviewed by major music publications, collaborating with Western artists. I became the breakout star of the group. My dancing videos went viral, my fashion became trendworthy, brands started offering me solo endorsement deals. And with every success, more people from my past crawled out of the woodwork. Former classmates I barely remembered claiming we were close friends. Extended family members suddenly interested in my life. Teachers who'd barely noticed me suddenly telling press how they always knew I was special. Everyone wanted a piece of my success now. 2 years after our debut, Eclipse announced a world tour that included a stop in New York City, just 2 hours from my hometown. My parents called me immediately. Luna, we have to come see you perform. Can you get us tickets? This would be the first time I'd seen them since I left for Korea 4 years ago. We'd video called occasionally, but the relationship had been strained. They'd slowly come around to accepting my career, especially once I started making money and gaining recognition, but we'd never addressed how they doubted me. I'll arrange tickets, I said, and backstage passes. My mom got emotional. We're so proud of you, Luna. We always believed in you. That stung, because they hadn't, but I didn't argue. Some battles weren't worth fighting.
The night of the New York concert, I was more nervous than I'd been for any performance. Not because of the crowd. We were performing at Madison Square Garden for 20,000 people, and I'd grown comfortable with that kind of pressure. I was nervous because I knew people from my past would be there, and I'd made very deliberate choices about who got tickets. My parents and their close friends were in VIP seating. I'd sent them passes because, despite everything, they were still my family, and they'd eventually supported me in their own way. But Brittany, Tyler, Jason, all the friends and family who'd mocked me and only reached out after I was successful, they got nothing. I knew they tried to buy tickets. I'd seen Brittany's Instagram stories about trying to get last-minute seats. I'd heard through mutual connections that Tyler had asked around for hookups. They couldn't find any. The show was sold out, and I'd made sure they had no access. The performance was electric. Eclipse had grown so much as performers, and the crowd's energy was insane. When I hit my solo dance break in our title track, the screams were deafening. After the show, I met my parents backstage. My mom cried and hugged me tight. My dad, who never showed much emotion, had tears in his eyes. "You did it," he said simply. "You proved us all wrong." It was the closest he'd come to an apology, and I accepted it. But then Jason showed up. He'd come with my parents despite not having a backstage pass. Security almost didn't let him through. "Luna," he said, trying to hug me. "That was incredible. Listen, I've been meaning to talk to you about some business opportunities." "Stop," I said firmly. "You're here as family, not as a business connection. If you can't separate those things, you can leave." He looked shocked. He'd never heard me stand up to him like that. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "I was a jerk back then. I didn't believe in you, and I should have." It wasn't eloquent, but it was real, and that meant something. "Thank you," I said. "That actually means a lot. We're slowly rebuilding our relationship now. It's not perfect, but it's honest. As for everyone else, the fake friends, the ex-boyfriend, the people who only wanted to know me now that I was famous, they stayed exactly where I left them, on the outside looking in."
About 6 months after the New York concert, I was invited to give a speech at a music industry conference in Los Angeles. The topic was overcoming obstacles in pursuit of your dreams. I accepted immediately because I had some things to say. The conference was huge. Thousands of aspiring artists, industry professionals, media, the kind of event that gets covered by major publications. When I took the stage, I was wearing a custom outfit that cost more than my family's monthly rent used to be. My hair and makeup were flawless. I looked every inch the successful idol I'd become. And I told my story. All of it. I talked about being the weird K-pop obsessed girl in New Jersey, about the people who laughed at my dreams, about the boyfriend who told me to give up, about the family who thought I was wasting my life. There was a girl in my high school who told me my dreams were cute but not realistic, I said, looking directly at the camera I knew was streaming this live. She's probably watching this now, wondering why I never returned her messages. The audience laughed. There was a guy who told me to get a real job and stop embarrassing myself. He's definitely watching this, probably wondering why I blocked him on every platform. More laughs. And there were people, friends, family, classmates, who thought I was delusional, who thought I'd fail, who gave me 6 months before I came crawling back home. I paused for effect. It's been 5 years, and the only crawling happening is them sliding into my DMs asking for favors. The audience erupted in applause. Here's what I learned. When you're chasing something big, something unconventional, something that scares you, people will doubt you. Not because they're evil, but because your dreams make them uncomfortable. They reflect on their own abandoned dreams, their own fears, their own limitations. And some people will actively try to stop you. They'll mock you, sabotage you, tell you you're not good enough. Not because you're actually not good enough, but because your success threatens their narrative about why they gave up. So what do? You document everything. You remember every slight, every laugh, every person who told you you couldn't. Not out of pettiness, although a little pettiness is fine, but because those memories become fuel. Every time I wanted to quit during those brutal training years, I thought about the people who expected me to fail, and I refused to give them that satisfaction. And now I get to stand on stages like this one. Now I get to perform at sold-out arenas. Now I get to live my dream while they watch from the sidelines pretending they always believed in me. I looked directly at the camera again. To everyone who doubted me, thank you. You made this so much sweeter. And no, you can't have free concert tickets. The room exploded with laughter and applause. That speech went viral. It was clipped and shared across social media. Major publications covered it. It became one of those cultural moments that resonated with millions of people who'd been told their dreams were impossible. And yes, Brittany, Tyler, and several others saw it. I know that because they posted vague tweets about people being bitter and holding grudges. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My success was response enough.
But the story doesn't quite end there. Because about a year after that speech, I ran into Tyler at a mutual friend's wedding. I almost didn't go to the wedding. It was for Maya, one of the few friends from high school who'd actually supported me. She'd been following my career from the beginning, never asking for anything, just genuinely happy for my success. So when she got engaged, I made sure to clear my schedule. I didn't know Tyler would be there until I saw him at the reception. He'd changed, put on weight, lost some hair. He wasn't the confident basketball star anymore. He looked ordinary, like just another guy in a suit at a wedding. He spotted me immediately. I was hard to miss. My security team was with me. I was dressed in designer clothes, and people kept asking for photos. He approached during cocktail hour. I saw him coming and considered walking away, but something made me stay. "Luna," he said nervously, "you look, wow, amazing." "Thank you," I said coolly. I saw your speech, the one at the conference." "Did you?" "Yeah. Look, I know you were talking about me. The boyfriend who told you to give up? That was me." "I know who I was talking about, Tyler." He shifted uncomfortably. "I was wrong. I was a stupid kid who didn't understand. I should have supported you instead of mocking me, instead of telling me I was embarrassing, instead of dumping me because my dreams didn't fit your idea of success." He flinched. "Yeah, all of that. I'm sorry. I really am." I studied him for a moment. The apology seemed genuine. He looked genuinely ashamed. "Okay," I said. "I accept your apology." He looked relieved. "Really? Thank you. That means a lot. Maybe we could—" "I accept your apology, but that doesn't mean we're going to be friends or reconnect or whatever you're about to suggest." His face fell. "You didn't just not believe in me, Tyler. You actively tried to make me smaller. You wanted me to shrink my dreams to fit your comfort level. And when I refused, you left. That's fine. People break up. But you don't get to come back now that I've succeeded and act like we're old friends." "I understand," he said quietly. "For what it's worth, I really am proud of what you've accomplished. And I'm sorry I couldn't see it back then. Thank you. I genuinely hope you find success in whatever you're doing, but we're not going to be part of each other's lives." He nodded and walked away. Maya came up to me afterwards, having witnessed the exchange. She asked, "Are you okay?" "Yeah," I said. surprised to find it was true. I actually am. Because here's what I realized. I didn't need his validation anymore. I didn't need Brittany's friendship or Jason's respect or anyone else's approval. I had my success. I had my dreams realized. I had proof that I'd been right all along. Their recognition now meant nothing.
Eclipse is currently in our 5th year as a group. We're one of the top K-pop acts internationally, with multiple platinum albums, sold-out world tours, and major brand partnerships. I've released solo music that's done incredibly well. I've appeared on major magazine covers. I've spoken at the United Nations about youth empowerment through arts. I've achieved things that 17-year-old Luna couldn't have imagined. And yes, people from my past are still trying to reconnect. The requests never stop. Every time I hit a new milestone, another message appears from someone who once doubted me. Sometimes I respond with polite distance. Sometimes I don't respond at all. It depends on how genuine they seem and whether they've actually changed. My relationship with my family has healed significantly. My parents have apologized multiple times for not supporting me initially. They've made efforts to understand my career and my culture, learning about K-pop, visiting me in Korea, attending my concerts. They've earned their way back into my life. Jason and I have a cordial relationship. He's never asked for business favors again, and he's actually become somewhat supportive. We'll probably never be super close, but we're family, and that means something. As for Brittany, Tyler, and the others, they're just names from my past now. I don't hate them. I don't think about them much at all anymore. Because here's what I've learned. The best revenge isn't making them feel bad about doubting you. The best revenge is succeeding so completely that their opinions become irrelevant. They wanted me to fail, so their decision to play it safe would be validated. Instead, my success highlights their choices. Every time they see my name, every time they hear my music, they're reminded that they let fear dictate their lives. And that's punishment enough. I also learned something else. Success doesn't erase the pain of being doubted. Even now, with all I've achieved, I sometimes think about those early days. The mockery still stings when I remember it. But I've channeled that pain into purpose. I make a point to support young artists who are chasing unconventional dreams. I fund scholarships for aspiring K-pop trainees who can't afford the training. I speak openly about the struggle of being doubted, because I remember what it felt like to be that girl who was told she'd never make it. And I want other dreamers to know they're not alone.
So, what's the lesson here? What should you take away from my story? First, people's doubts say more about them than about you. When someone tells you your dream is impossible, they're usually projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. Don't internalize their doubt. Second, use negativity as fuel, but don't let it consume you. I used the mockery and doubt to push myself harder, but I didn't let bitterness take over my life. The goal was success, not revenge. The revenge was just a nice bonus. Third, remember who supported you when it mattered. Maya, my friend who believed in me from the beginning, is still one of my closest friends today. The people who support you when you have nothing, those are the real ones. Everyone else is just along for the ride. Fourth, success is the best response to doubt. You don't need to argue with people who don't believe in you. You don't need to defend your dreams. You just need to achieve them. The results speak louder than any argument ever could. Fifth, set boundaries with people who only want you now that you're successful. You don't owe them access to your life just because you share a past. If they weren't there for your struggle, they don't deserve to celebrate your success. And finally, your dreams are valid, even if they're unconventional, even if people laugh, even if the odds are against you. If you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to sacrifice for it, if you're willing to persevere through doubt and difficulty, you can make it happen. Will everyone make it? No, Statistically, most aspiring idols don't debut. Most actors don't become stars. Most artists don't achieve fame. The odds are brutal. But you know what? Someone makes it. Someone beats those odds. Why can't it be you? My name is Luna Park. 5 years ago, I was a joke in my hometown. People laughed at my dreams, mocked my passion, and predicted my failure. Today, I'm performing at sold-out stadiums, my music is streamed millions of times, and those same people are desperately trying to get back into my life. And you know what? I don't need their validation anymore. I never did. I just needed to believe in myself enough to prove them all wrong. If you're chasing a dream right now and people are doubting you, remember this. They're going to feel really stupid in a few years when you're successful, and they're sliding into your DMs pretending they always believed in you. Don't give up. Don't dim your light. Don't shrink your dreams to fit other people's small imaginations. Chase that passion. Become that idol, whatever your version of an idol is. And when you make it, when you're standing on your own stage, living your dream, remember every person who doubted you. Then smile, knowing they're watching from the sidelines, wishing they'd believed. That's the sweetest revenge of all.